right, everyone. Welcome back to the Scoreboard here on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. And if you'd like to be a part of the show, you can always do that. 704-873-1400. And we're back on YouTube this week. So if you missed the show at all because you were a YouTube listener, we are back on YouTube. Facebook, Twitter, LinkedIn, everywhere you can find us. WSICnews.com also with video and audio of all your favorite shows. So make sure you know where to get us. There is a lot going on in sports this weekend. We have the NASCAR Cup Series race get suspended on Sunday, and that race was completed earlier today. We'll touch on that. The U.S. women's national team got booted by Sweden in the FIFA World Cup. We'll talk about that. And we have some fun hockey-style brawls in baseball going on now. I've never seen two people square up to each other the way that Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson did over the weekend. That was something. And we have a big breaking NHL. Yes, NHL hockey. Big trade in the hockey world. We're going to go over all of that. We're going to see how much we can touch on because we also have football that's about to be starting here in a few days. We have the Panthers signing Justin Houston to a one-year contract. Man, let's get into things right away here. So, the NASCAR Cup Series, they made their way to Michigan this weekend. Chris Buescher and RFK Racing, they went back-to-back. Buescher's second win of the season, his first career win at Michigan. So, Chris Buescher, back-to-back wins. Here is your 1-minute race recap brought to you by MRN.
Pace cars hit the pit lane. Joey Aycock on top of the flag stand goes green flag in the air, and we are racing in the Irish Hills.
Triple turn 2, Chase Elliott loses it all by himself, slams the outside wall, trunk first. A very reminiscent impact to that just claimed Kyle Busch.
Caution on the speedway for the 6th time, and unfortunately, it is for rain. That's what we needed to hear. Engines come to life on the pit lane.
Denny Hamlin has stalled his car.
Truex across the line, and by inches, he is going to bypass Daniel Suarez for the stage win.
Right rear lug will not go on for Tyler Reddick, losing track position, losing time here. This one is devastating.
Buescher in the middle. Close corners. Oh, Truex gets loose. He loses 3 car lengths.
Absolute perfection for Chris Buescher. He's going to come across the line. He will go back to back.
Chris Buescher back-to-back wins, and that's not something that was expected. Buescher in the 17 car driving for RFK. They've really turned it on here in the past couple of weeks. We have Buescher and we had Keselowski, both in the top 5 here at Michigan. So they are turning things around at the correct time to be doing so. And this second win really gives Buescher a big boost in the playoff standings here. He was the lowest driver with a win before this. Now he's 8th if the playoffs were to start today with all the bonus points that he's accrued now. He's got 11 of them going into the playoffs. Truex Jr. still winning the points championship right now, followed by Denny Hamlin and William Byron. And the biggest story from NASCAR this weekend, the drivers that did not finish this race: Kyle Busch, Chase Elliott, William Byron, Alex Bowman, all did not finish the race. And that is huge for Chase Elliott and Alex Bowman, who were going to have an uphill battle to begin with to make it in on points, but not finishing now really makes them in a must-win situation. Elliott now 55 points behind the cut line. Bowman 44 points behind the cut line. And things are heating up now because you have 3 drivers all within 5 points of each other or so. Ty Gibbs right now has the last spot in the playoffs. Michael McDowell is the first car out by 3 points, and this is all updated from this Monday's race. So if you did not know, it was canceled on Sunday. It was raining. There's no lights at Michigan. That's a whole other subject that I'm going to get into in a few minutes here. But the race was Monday. They finished it on time. No other issues. And we had drivers in the playoffs in the bubble with big issues. Michael McDowell now 3 points out. Daniel Suarez 5 out. And then followed by that, you have Allmendinger 24 out. Alex Bowman 44 out. Now, you can make up those points. It's possible, but you only have 3 races to do it, and it's going to be tough because we're going to 2 road courses, and then we go to Daytona, the great equalizer, where, who knows, we could see a Todd Gilliland win, and that throws the standings for a complete different loop. Now, just to show you how important winning is, let's say that does happen. Let's say Todd Gilliland goes out there at Daytona and wins the race. Well, currently, Todd Gilliland's 27th in the standings. You move him into the playoffs, and that bumps Ty Gibbs. Bubba Wallace is the next car in. He would then be on the bubble, but he is 55 points ahead of Ty Gibbs. These drivers that are battling for that last spot currently, they still need a win because there's no guarantee that somebody out of the playoffs isn't going to win and knock that cut line even lower. And it would be a real shame if, somebody outside of the top 10 or outside of the playoffs who really didn't have a chance wins Daytona. It's a great way to end the regular season, but do we really want to see Harrison Burton in the playoffs when that spot could easily go to Michael McDowell, Daniel Suarez, somebody who's been competing for the entire year? It just, it's a little bit of a thing. Now, the race was rained out on Sunday, which is why they had to race today. The year is 2023. NASCAR has made a ton of changes to make their sport better. How is one of those changes not putting lights at every single track that they go to? Why? Why is it that some races we have to cancel them early because they just didn't put lights at the track? The ones where there are lights, those are the best races. Night races, the best. Even daytime rain races that get into the nighttime, man, it throws a loop into everything because you're not expecting it. But when you cancel a race at 4 o'clock in the afternoon, plenty of time left in the day, the rain had eased off, I just don't understand it. Because people want to see the race on Sunday, and for a Monday crowd, it was pretty full at Michigan, I got to be honest. I was surprised to see that many people on a Monday. But there were fans that stuck around all the delays and the cautions and waving off the restarts. There were people that stuck around and wanted to see a race who couldn't on Monday because they canceled it so early that there was really no chance for NASCAR to change their mind. I don't know. I feel like we need lights at every track. It just makes sense. You're listening to the Scoreboard here on WSIC. Make sure you stay tuned. We'll be back in a few minutes. And as always, if you'd like to be part of the show, 704-873-1400. I'll see you in a few minutes.
Have your say.
Trusting the government to fix anything is a joke.
Be a part of the conversation.
We can't even trust the banks with our money.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Just a few more weeks until Kane Center for the Arts' first performance of the 2024 fall season lineup. Asheville native Kanan Cox will be performing Friday, August 25th. The show starts at 8 p.m. Kane Center for the Arts 2024 fall season. Buy your season tickets now at canearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Looking for something fun to do with your kids this summer? Birkdale Buds is hosting their weekly Playtime in the Plaza. Bring your preschool-aged bud for playtime between 10:30 and 12 noon every Wednesday through October. The activities include games, face painting, storytellers, magicians, arts and crafts, plus more. There's no cost and no registration required. Bring a blanket and come join the fun. For more details, visit BirkdaleVillage.com. Ever wonder what Mooresville was like in 1873? The historic Downtown Walking Tour is a self-guided tour that will take you on a stroll through Mooresville's past to learn about the history of the town. Featuring 18 stops, the tour begins and ends at the corner of Main Street and Center Avenue. It should take 1 hour to complete. For more details, visit downtownmooresville.com. Looking for a night out on the town? Cornelius' second Friday Street Festival series continues, starting at Oak Street Mill at 6 p.m. The second Friday Street Festival series is ongoing through October. Got an upcoming event you'd like everyone to know about? Yard and estate sales, nonprofit fundraisers, and everything in between? Go to WSICnews.com and click on Events to submit your event today.
I'm Dan Sutton with your WSIC forecast. For tonight, we'll have a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly before 10 p.m. Some of the storms could be severe. We'll have a low around 69 and southwest winds 8 to 16 miles per hour, with gusts as high as 24 miles per hour. New precipitation amounts between a tenth and quarter of an inch, except higher amounts possible in thunderstorms. From WSIC's Weather Center, I'm Dan Sutton.
Folks, you know Randy Marion sells vehicles the King of Price way, but did you know our service department? We service vehicles the King of Price way. We sell tires, we sell brakes, we sell batteries, we sell the maintenance. We help you keep your vehicle on the road safe, ready to drive, whatever the season is. Randy Marion service departments have you covered. Come see us today because, folks, again, you know we sell the King of Price way and we do service the King of Price way.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
Breaking news, expert analysis, and the stories that matter most, all in one place.
I totally acknowledge seeing flames is a scary situation.
WSIC News Talk Now.
Scoreboard. Here on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM, and always streaming video live to WSICnews.com, YouTube, Facebook, Twitter, everywhere. You can find us. Lots to go over today. We've been talking about NASCAR and the Cup Series race from today. Chris Buescher getting his second win of the season. Pretty awesome to see. You don't see a guy like him win often. And if you remember last year, one of the lasting images from the season that I remember is Chris Buescher at Charlotte going end over end down the front stretch in that new turf that they have there. So it's very nice to see him having a good year, feeling healthy, looking good always, and winning races. And he held off Martin Truex Jr. Now, if you listen to WSIC a lot, you might have heard me earlier today on Justin Kazepis' morning show. And I said Truex was going to be the guy to beat. Well, he was the guy to beat, and they did beat him. There was a lot of strategy involved, but Buescher made his way to the front. And I feel bad for Tyler Reddick because he really might have won this race had it not been for a mishap on pit road. He got out in front of Buescher in the last green flag cycle, but the lug nut was not on correctly. Props to him for not completely wrecking the car coming out of pit road because he was sideways. And another note, NASCAR did not throw a caution for it. So just always remember that when we talk about NASCARs, their inability to decide whether or not they want to throw caution. It's always been a question mark, if you will, in NASCAR because you never know when they're going to say, yes, we're going to throw the caution, or no, we're going to let them race and see what happens. But a great run for RFK Racing. Chris Buescher with his second win of the year. Truex still leading the points. And we head to Watkins Glen. Yes, a road course next week, the Gold Bowling at the Glen. So be sure to tune into that. We're going to have, I'm going to say it again, Chase Elliott's going to be a factor. He's got to be, right? He is NASCAR's golden boy now. They can't allow him not to make the playoffs. But we'll preview a lot more of that here later in the week. Some more news from this weekend, and this is a massive, massive, massive swing in college football. Not only college football, but college sports in general. So over the weekend, we basically lost the Pac-12 in a day. The Pac-12 ceasing to exist. And it's still around right now, technically. But unless Stanford, California, Oregon State, and Washington State want to just have a conference with them four in it, the Pac-12 is no more. USC, UCLA, Oregon, and Washington committed to the Big Ten. Arizona, Arizona State, Colorado, and Utah heading to the Big 12. And it's sounding like the ACC might be putting a bid in for those remaining four teams, as well as the American Conference, apparently. But the ACC is who's emerged as the favorite. I don't know what the landscape of college football is about to turn into. And this all, let's be honest, this all has to do with football. It does, because that's what makes the money. Yeah, we could talk about the NCAA tournament all we want, but that's a month that basketball gets versus the 3 or 4 months that the NCAA football gets. And the Pac-12 has kind of had their own issues here recently with, the time that the games are starting and not really being on TV all that much. And I'm pretty sure they were going to exclusively be on Apple TV this year, which would have been a mess because who wants to switch from your regular provider that you're watching the games with to Apple just to watch the Pac-12? Obviously, people who like schools in the Pac-12, but for the normal person who's just scrolling through channels, turning on ESPN, you're not going to do that. So the Pac-12 is now pretty much disbanded. We are kind of heading towards like this super conference thing, because if the ACC doesn't get the remaining 4 teams, is the ACC going to still be intact here? Are we going to lose out on the ACC? Could we see an ACC-SEC merger? Could we see the Big 12, Big 10 merge? 2 main conferences? I think that's where we're heading. Is to this like weird state of college football where like, I don't know, it's just, it's weird and everything has to do with money. We know that. We can, always keep that in the back of your head. But man, the Pac-12 overnight pretty much going away. There's just 4 teams left. It's the Pac-4 now. Oh man, what happens to these teams? What happens to these schools? What happens when we get out of football season into baseball, into basketball? I don't know, man. And these aren't student athletes anymore. They're professionals. They get paid. The NCAA is begging Congress to help them regulate how much money the athletes are getting and how they get the money. But until there's some kind of ruling, it's going to be the Wild West out there as far as getting your players, getting into the right conference, and getting that NIL money. It's no longer a who has good recruiting tactics to get your school. It's who has the most NIL money. And that just goes to show you that these are not, they're just not amateur athletes anymore. They are professional athletes. They're going to the money. They're getting paid. They're getting promised all this money as a senior in high school right before you go to college. Yeah, come to us. We got all this NIL money. Is there going to be a salary cap at some point? Are we going to limit how much NIL one person can make? Or the team's going to say, you know what? Goodbye, NIL. We are just now going to pay the players ourselves. Then you have to put a salary cap on that. I think we're really heading towards like a super conference with relegation or something like that. Because how cool would that be, you know? Stanford having a bad year or something, and all of a sudden they get relegated to NCAA Division I AA. I think that would be pretty cool. And you know that the U.S. sports now are not afraid to kind of do something that European sports have with relegation, in-season tournaments in the NBA now, which is what soccer has all the time. The MLS is currently in an in-season tournament with Charlotte FC playing tonight. So you can't say that this is absolutely not going to happen. It's never going to happen. Because if I would have asked you 5 years ago, hey, is there going to be an in-season tournament in the NBA where they're just going to have like this secondary thing going on aside from the fact that you're playing your normal games? You would have told me, no, I'm crazy. Well, guess what? We're here. There's an in-season tournament. I can see relegation happening in the NCAA. Something of the sort. Or you just get this massive conference with like everybody and just say, you know what? Go have fun. You guys are the best of the best. Go play whoever you want. Schedule your own games. And then towards the end of the year, we'll, rank you and decide who's going to be in the playoffs. Plus, you're going to have a 12-team playoff now. Not this year, the next year. You're going to have every conference winner with an automatic bid. So does the Pac-12 still get a bid if Stanford, California, Oregon State, and Washington State stay? Because if you win the Pac-12, you get an automatic bid into the playoffs. Well, they didn't really consider the fact that the Pac-12 was going to cease to exist when they came up with this. Where do we go from here? It's a spiral right now. And the more and more we wait and see what happens, the more I think that we're going to get to a place where the players are going to be getting paid, not through NIL, but through the schools. And we're going to have a massive conference with professional style regular season in all sports, football, basketball, baseball, tennis. It's all going to be uniform now. That's where I think we're heading. It was really wild to watch that unfold over the weekend because all of a sudden teams just started leaving the Pac-12. They were like, you know what, we're good. We're gonna head out. We're gonna go to the Big Ten. We're gonna go to the Big 12. You guys figure it out because there's the Big Ten network. Their games will at least be televised. They won't be on Apple. Quick break coming up here at the bottom of the hour. When we come back, I'm going to show you this Jose Ramirez and Tim Anderson beef. Because, oh boy, I haven't seen this in baseball before. Where a player actually squares up. And they looked like they were about to box. And teammates gather around and they kind of let him go at first. And someone hit the deck hard, but we'll cover that when we return here to the Scoreboard on WSIC. I'm your host, as always, Joe Berg. Stay tuned. I'll see you on the other side of the break.
Hey everyone, this is Robert Carey from America's #1 travel radio show. Join Mary and me and Rudy each Saturday as we cover the ever-evolving world of travel, talk with newsmakers, share compelling experiences, and explore the world together during the fastest 2 hours in travel on RM World Travel.
Local news and weather now on the new 105.9, 100.7 WSIC. News Talk Now.
I'm Mike Jackson, WSIC News. WBTV reporting that a former Charlotte-Mecklenburg schools teacher is facing sex crime charges involving a student, records revealed. Jail records show 33-year-old Maria Haylinger is facing 2 counts of indecent liberties with a student and 2 counts of sexual activity with a student. A police report stemming from her arrest indicates that the victim was an 18-year-old and that the allegations occurred between May 6th and June 13th. CMS said Haylinger taught English at Rocky River High School before she resigned on July 28th, but could not comment on her arrest. And an unidentified woman was hit and killed Monday morning on I-40 westbound, according to a preliminary investigation by the Raleigh Police Department. Police said the driver was operating his truck at the posted speed limit and that so far no charges were filed. WSIC weather overnight, a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms with a low around 69 and southwest winds between 8 and 16 miles per hour with gusts as high as 24 miles per hour. Sunny Tuesday with a high of 87, mostly clear Tuesday night, 65 for the low, then more sun for Wednesday with an afternoon high of 88. Mike Jackson, WSIC News.
With all the many changes since last season, the Panthers' offensive line is perhaps the most solidified position group overall, and second-year left tackle Ike Ekwonu has quickly become one of the main anchors as he goes through his second training camp. I'm Jim Zoki with a Panthers update after this.
Great play. Let's roll back the replay. Panthers mascot Sir Purr is on the Bank of America app.
He can't keep his paws off that phone.
Bank of America's digital tools are so impressive, Carolina Panthers fans just can't stop banking. Learn more at bankofamerica.com/can'tstopbanking.
You must download the latest version of the mobile banking app, only available on select mobile devices. Message and data rates may apply. Terms and conditions apply. Member FDIC.
As a rookie left tackle, Ike Ekwonu established himself as one of the best young players in the league at his position, and now he gets ready for his second NFL season. He's got a much better comprehension of what he needs to know.
I think just confidence overall. Obviously last year as a rookie, there's a lot of things I didn't know, I don't know, technique-wise, practice-wise, everything like that. So kind of having a good feel about how to practice, good feel about my technique, just more confident overall as a player. I think that's probably the biggest difference.
The former NC State star got a baptism under fire as the regular season opener, had him matched up with one of the league's top pass rushers in Cleveland's Myles Garrett, but he grew and quickly improved as a player after that. Now the entire offensive line went from being a weakness to a strength, and the main components of that group are back this season, which makes this year easier.
I think we just have we had a higigher floor going into this camp than we did last year just because of that background chemistry. Obviously we had almost a full season together already, so kind of just definitely easier to build, when we already have that chemistry.
Only guard Austin Corbett is sidelined currently, but he's working his way back and helping out at practice.
Colin Corbs, Coach Corbs, he's always there in every drill, always giving pointers when you need to. He's in the film room every day, taking notes like he's playing out there. So definitely someone we can rely on 24/7. He's going to know the playbook in and out.
I'm Jim Zoki on the Carolina Panthers Radio Network, presented by Morris Jenkins.
It's always great to have the right tools and supplies when working outside. Little Shavers Woodshop is ready to help. Little Shavers has all your wood, treated lumber, wood fencing, and all the treatment items to keep them looking great. BBG paints and stains, and add in some pine needles and Daddy Pete's mulch and soils, and your landscaping will be the best around. Head on over to Little Shavers, 3301 Salisbury Highway, right in between Statesville, Morrisville, and Moxville. Visit littleshaverswoodshop.com. That's LILShaverswoodshop.com.
Rid your business of pests, termites, and all the little creepy critters by calling Terminex. Go to trustterminex.com or call 704-872-1919. 872-1919. We trust them here at the radio station, and you can too. Call 872-1919.
The Statesville Family YMCA is gearing up for pickleball. Come enjoy this popular game weekdays from 9 to 11 a.m. If the weather is too bad for kids attending summer camp to be outside, pickleball will be canceled. The Statesville Family YMCA, 828 Wesley Avenue.
In life, we plan for many important things. Weddings, our children's education, retirement. A celebration of life is really no different. Planning and paying for your life celebration in advance will give you and your family valuable peace of mind. We'll help you take care of every detail with professionalism and compassion. We're Lynn Honeycutt Funeral Home. Find us at dignitymemorial.com.
Conversations that matter.
I gotta tell you, I'm afraid to even think about the next presidential election.
Led by you.
It's a mockery of American politics.
This is WSIC News Talk Now, where the heart of Lake Norman lives. WSIC News Talk Now. Be a part of the conversation.
We can't fix America's debt by starving its people.
Have your say.
One shooting after another, and we're doing nothing to solve it?
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
All right, welcome back to the Scoreboard here on WSIC 105.9, 100.7 FM. And if you were listening through that commercial break, you know that we will now have Panthers talk immediately following this show. So stay tuned if you want to get a whole hour worth of Panthers-specific updates. Now, we do have something going on in Pantherland. A free agent has signed with the Panthers. Justin Houston, the 34-year-old, he will be their edge rusher that they just signed this year. So, 1-year contract for Houston. He's a great player, pretty much over the edge at this point. I don't believe that he's going to be a super high-impact player, but, you know, if you limit his usage, keep him ready to go, he could have some big plays that could, you know, make or break the Panther season. It's going to be a very close competitive season for the Panthers. They're going to have plays every year that are going to make or break whether they make the playoffs. It's going to be a win or two here or there based on a play or two here or there. And I'm trying to think back to last year. I think it was DJ Moore who took his helmet off in the Saints game after scoring that touchdown late. Get a 15-yard penalty, Panthers miss the kick, end up losing the game. It's things like that this year that are going to determine whether or not the Panthers make the playoffs or miss the playoffs. And who knows, Justin Houston could end up having one of those plays that makes or breaks the season. And he's still got things left in the tank here. He's got 9.5 sacks last year, so it's not like he's completely done, but a little bit more of a pass rush for the Panthers. Nobody ever complained about having too many pass rushers, so especially in today's day and age. So I think this is a good signing for the Panthers. Why not, right? If you have a chance to improve on a position, might as well do it. So make sure you stay tuned after the Scoreboard here to get all your Panthers updates. I don't want to talk about the Panthers right now because we're in the middle of an MLB season. We still have a month before football starts. I know we have preseason coming up, and Bryce Young was named the starter for the preseason game, yada, yada, yada. Cool. Nothing we didn't expect. But this is something that we didn't expect. So the White Sox and the Cleveland Guardians were playing over the weekend. Things got heated. I think that's going to be the best way that I can put this without actually showing it. And I'm going to show it. I'm going to show the video for those of you watching on Facebook and YouTube and WSICnews.com. If you're listening, you're going to be able to hear what happened. There was a bench clearing brawl, and it was a little bit different than your normal bench clearing brawl. Bench clearing brawl. Say that one 5 times fast. But take a look, take a listen, see what happened.
Oscar's throw is not in time.
He just missed him at second base. This is another rocket of a throw, and now...
Oh, boy.
Now
oh, my goodness. Here come the benches. Off we go. It started with Anderson and Ramirez. Swings being taken. Kopech had to hold him back, and everybody's spilling out here in Cleveland.
I have never seen 2 players on a baseball field, at least not in today's day and age. I have never seen 2 players completely square up to each other and just start throwing haymakers the way that they did. And Ramirez got him good. He dropped him. Tim Anderson hit the dirt hard. And there's a lot of fallout from this now. You have former players accusing the White Sox players, coaches, management of, allowing a terrible culture within the locker room. The White Sox were good last year. They're really having a terrible year this year. So we have a lot of fines and suspensions. Take one last look because, oh my goodness, Tim Anderson got dropped. He's swinging, boom, that right hand connects, and he just hits the dirt. And if you saw the game, I'm not going to show this one or talk about this one too much, but his teammates helping him off the field, you could tell that he just took a shot to the face, and we have suspensions because of this. So we're going to go through these. Tim Anderson, 6-game suspension and an undisclosed fine for fighting. Jose Ramirez, 3-game suspension, undisclosed fine for fighting. Interesting to me because the guy who got knocked out received a longer suspension. So I wonder what kind of words were exchanged, what the umpires heard as they were getting ready to fight. But, if two people square up to each other like that, I would expect that they would both get the same treatment, the same suspension, but the MLB sees it differently. Guardians pitcher Emmanuel Clase has received a 1-game suspension. Pedro Grifol and Terry Francona, 1-game suspension. The managers, third base coach Mike Sarbar, 1-game suspension, and Michael Kopech and Gabriel Arias, suspensions and fines. A lot of people getting caught up in this one. But the main thing is Anderson and Ramirez. I don't know how Ramirez only got 3 games, but man, I would say thank you very much. I'm not going to appeal this. Now, they've both appealed because that's what you do. You just appeal it. But if I'm Ramirez, I'm saying 3 games for knocking someone out. All right, thank you very much, MLB. I'll sit those 3 games out, and I'll see you on the 4th game because he got his money's worth. He definitely got his money's worth. And that's not something that we see every day. And it's weird that it's between these two teams, too, because if you look at the standings and where these two are respectively within their own division, Cleveland 4.5 games back of Minnesota. White Sox 14 games back. They're almost 10 games separated in the standings. The White Sox sellers at the deadline. Where is this coming from? I'm sure the frustration is bubbling over in Chicago with the White Sox, but man, what are we doing? Quick update continuing on this MLB train before we get to our last break here and have our final segment of the day. I want to apologize to the Cincinnati Reds. I feel like ever since we declared that they were going to be the bandwagon team for the scoreboard this year, it's been nothing but bad things for them. They're 3-7 in their last 10, and they're riding a 6-game losing streak. They have now fallen a game and a half behind the Milwaukee Brewers, who are also 7-3 in their last 10. But as we've been talking about, here come the Cubs. Cubbies a game and a half back in Milwaukee now, tied in the standings with Chicago. That NL Central race is heating up. Put the finishing touches on the MLB here when we return, and like I said, we have to talk about it. The women's national team eliminated by Sweden by the slimmest of slimmity slim margins. I mean, I don't even think it was a hair. But we'll talk about that when we return here on the Scoreboard News Talk WSIC. Stay tuned. We'll be back in a couple of minutes.
Whatever the story,
We have to end our dependence on China.
have your say.
This debt crisis is going to set our economy back big time.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Here's your WSIC community calendar. Just a few more weeks until Kane Center for the Arts' first performance of the 2024 fall season lineup. Asheville native Kanan Cox will be performing Friday, August 25th. The show starts at 8 p.m. Kane Center for the Arts 2024 fall season. Buy your season tickets now at kanearts.org. That's CAIN arts.org. Looking for something fun to do with your kids this summer? Birkdale Buds is hosting their weekly Playtime in the Plaza. Bring your preschool-aged bud for playtime between 10:30 and 12 noon every Wednesday through October. The activities include games, face painting, storytellers, magicians, arts and crafts, plus more. There's no cost and no registration required. Bring a blanket and come join the fun. For more details, visit BirkdaleVillage.com. Ever wonder what Mooresville was like in 1873? The historic Downtown Walking Tour is a self-guided tour that will take you on a stroll through Mooresville's past to learn about the history of the town. Featuring 18 stops, the tour begins and ends at the corner of Main Street and Center Avenue. It should take 1 hour to complete. For more details, visit downtownmooresville.com. Looking for a night out on the town? Cornelius' second Friday Street Festival series continues, starting at Oak Street Mill at 6 p.m. The second Friday Street Festival series is ongoing through October. Got an upcoming event you'd like everyone to know about? Yard and estate sales, nonprofit fundraisers, and everything in between? Go to WSICnews.com and click on Events to submit your event today.
I'm Dan Sutton with your WSIC forecast. For tonight, we'll have a 60% chance of showers and thunderstorms, mainly before 10 p.m. Some of the storms could be severe. We'll have a low around 69 and southwest winds 8 to 16 miles per hour, with gusts as high as 24 miles per hour. New precipitation amounts between a tenth and quarter of an inch, except higher amounts possible in thunderstorms. From WSIC's Weather Center, I'm Dan Sutton.
Folks, you know Randy Marion sells vehicles the King of Price way, but did you know our service department? We service vehicles the King of Price way. We sell tires, we sell brakes, we sell batteries, we sell the maintenance. We help you keep your vehicle on the road safe, ready to drive, whatever the season is. Randy Marion service departments have you covered. Come see us today because, folks, again, you know we sell the King of Price way and we do service the King of Price way.
King of Price, RandyMarionStatesville.com.
Be a part of the conversation.
I listen on the way to work.
Have your say.
It's more than just opinions, it's facts.
This is WSIC News Talk Now.
Final segment here on the Scoreboard. News Talk WSIC. I am Joe Berg, your host. And like I said, make sure you stick around after my show. You'll hear Panthers talk about 5 minutes after the top of the hour. Get you caught up on all things Panthers. And like we said, Justin Houston signing a contract is probably the biggest update. I guess a big, and I'm going to put real big quotations around the word big, update being that Bryce Young is going to be starting preseason game number 1. I would hope that you would put your rookie out there to learn a little bit, but you know what? What do I know? I'm just standing here behind a microphone. So, I wasn't surprised, but I guess there were a lot of surprises around the league that Bryce Young's going to be starting game 1. CJ Stroud will be starting game 1 for the Houston Texans too, so we'll see what happens. I don't think we've heard about Anthony Richardson yet, although I would expect him to be the starter for their first preseason game also. So Tim Anderson, Jose Ramirez get some big suspensions after that bench clearing brawl, squaring up to each other, throwing haymakers, down goes Anderson, all that fun stuff, and now you get the fallout. Which is never bad in baseball. It's more of a, hey, just sit down for a few games. I wish that more sports would just, do like hockey does, man. Let them get it out of their system, sit them down for a little bit, and then say, all right, go play some more. you can't tell me that soccer wouldn't be more entertaining if all of a sudden somebody gets slide tackle wrong and a yellow card comes out and they say, you know what, let's go. Square up. We're fighting. Sit them down for 5 minutes. Bring them right back in like nothing happened. I'm just trying to think of ways that we can make things more entertaining. Because if you weren't entertained during Team USA versus Sweden on Monday, first of all, if you watched it on Sunday morning at 5 a.m., props to you. I tried. I always try. I set some alarms, didn't wake up. By the time I woke up, I got the notification on my phone that they were heading to extra time, and I was like, I'm just too tired to deal with this. Because it was on Fox, and like I still don't really have access to Fox. You gotta find it some other way, and I just wasn't going through that hassle at 6:30 in the morning. But if you did watch and you do know what happens, then you know what we're about to talk about. Here is how the run ended for Team USA. And nobody knew whether or not it went in at the time. Soccer now has their virtual system where they can see whether or not the ball crossed the plane. And after a little bit of a review, not much time passed before they determined that this was a good goal. Sweden with the win. And here's how it looked on the replay once we found out, hey, Team USA lost, Sweden wins. It is a hair that the ball made it over the line by. And the goaltender shocked. Everybody in the building shocked as Sweden celebrates here. Here's how it looked. And if you're listening, it was close. It was a hair, a less than a hair, a millimeter.
Today, and
wow, that's close.
That is the margin. That is the fine margin.
It is, man, it's about as close as it can be. And I'm leaving the image of this up. How much closer could this have been? I don't, to get knocked out of the World Cup for something that close, it's gotta sting. But nonetheless, Team USA defeated by Sweden. And look, props to Sweden and their goaltender and whatever she did to sell herself to the devil before the game, because Team USA was the better team all game. But like we've talked about in soccer, you just have to hold on until you get to penalties if you're playing a team that's that much better than you. And Sweden is not, or USA is not, that much better than Sweden. They beat us in a friendly last time we played them, but USA still does have the better team. And for it to come down to that, man, it just goes to show you when you get to penalties, if you can hold on. You know, they played to 0-0. The goaltender for Sweden stepped up huge, making 11 saves. US put 22 shots towards the goalie, 11 of them on target. All 11 saved, by the way. You get to penalties, and you just cross your fingers. And I'm still looking at the image of this ball barely crossing the line. And there's like a pixel, like one pixel in between the ball and the line, and the goal line, determining that was a goal. And you know what? If you're going to go out, that's not how you want to go out, but at least you tried. And they fully acknowledge that they didn't give their best effort in the group stage. And that didn't seem to be too much of a problem going into the knockout stage, because like I said, they were the better team. They dominated the game. Everything was going towards the net. But in the end, Sweden victorious in the shootout, in the penalties, as they say in soccer. So where do we go from here with Team USA? Well, we got, 4 more years until the next World Cup for the women's side. We get to look forward to the men in 2026 coming up. That'll be local being in the United States and not across the world in Australia, where we'll have to watch games at 5 a.m. No more. If they're playing a 1 a.m. game, on this part of the planet, Canada, US, Mexico. Like, what are you doing to these poor players? Seriously. But that's what we have to look forward to now. And I believe now the favorite to win it is England, and Sweden are tied for the favorites to win it going on. But I'll update the World Cup because it's still going to be fun. It's the World Cup. There's some really good soccer that's being played. And like I said on Friday, the more I thought about it and the more I pondered the game that was going to happen, I was like, man, USA is going to lose. They're just going to lose. Something is going to happen and they're going to lose. And I guess I just kind of put that into the universe because boy, oh boy, did they lose in a very, very heartbreaking fashion. I don't even know if it's hit them yet. Like, if you are the goaltender for Team USA and you make that save and you see the ball in the air, like, dive back and you see the replay and you see it's just a hair over the line and now you're not playing anymore. Boy, oh boy. Little bit of news here out of the NFL before we head out for the day. This not out of Carolina, so I won't spoil any Panthers talk, which is coming up here in about 10 minutes or so. The Lions have signed Teddy Bridgewater. So, backup. I'm assuming he's going to be a backup because they still have Jared Goff there. Lions are going to be a good team this year, man. They might win that NFC North. Be careful because the Packers aren't going to be all that. The Vikings are the Vikings. You got Kirk Cousins there, and who knows? They can be really hot. They could be really cold. They got no Dalvin Cook now. And the Bears are the Bears. Until they start proving that we should have some expectations for them, we have no expectations for them. They have a really electric quarterback, and yep, that's what they have. But they did good in free agency, bringing in some strong players, so we'll see what happens in that division. I still think that the Lions are going to be the team to beat. And it's good to see Bridgewater get a contract. I've always rooted for him ever since that knee injury when he was the quarterback for Minnesota, where we thought he was going to lose his leg for a little bit. Becomes a journeyman, plays on plenty of teams, even over here in Carolina. Played for the Giants, played for the Dolphins, excuse me. So that's the late breaking news out of the NFL. I think that's really the only news out of the NFL today. There's really not much going on. I want to talk about this NHL trade before we leave. We do have about 1 minute to go here. Erik Karlsson, defenseman for the Sharks, has been traded to the Pittsburgh Penguins. And it was a 3-team deal. Montreal was the team facilitating that deal, deciding to take on a lot of a cap hit. That way things can happen. Pittsburgh giving up a few bottom 6 wingers and a first-round pick and a second-round pick. But Erik Karlsson moving from the San Jose Sharks to the Pittsburgh Penguins after kind of a year where he had a career resurgence. That's all the time we have for today, though. What a weekend it was. Thank you, as always, for tuning in to the Scoreboard. I'm your host, Joe Berg, here on WSIC. Back same time, same place tomorrow. Don't miss it. I'll see you then.